Welcome back, guys. I'm Mike and this is our channel Mr. and Mrs. Two-Wheeler, where we feature motorcycle touring, camping, gear, and travel tips. And today we're going to cover long distance motorcycle modifications you make to your motorcycle to make it more comfortable on long distance trips. This came to me from a recent subscriber who asked if I could do a video, so here it is. Let's dive in. Now, as you may or may not know, we ride a 2007 Honda ST1300. It's a sport touring bike made for long distance travel. And as much as I love this bike, like most motorcycles, out of the factory, they're just not perfect. So we had to make our own little modifications, add a few gadgets here and there, kind of make it our own, suitable for our type of travel. Now, one of the things we had to contend with was the vlogging. You know, we have several cameras set up on the motorcycle, and those cameras need power because the batteries only last about 45 minutes on them. So we can't be changing batteries 10 times a day when we're on the bike for that long. We had to figure out a way to keep the cameras charged, we had to find a way to keep the phones charged, and a way to tie it all together. So let's start with the cameras. This camera here, we call it the self cam. It's the one that's facing us. As you can see, that one has a charger that runs up the handlebars to the camera, and it plugs into the waterproof housing. The next camera we have is the Hero 7 Black. That one sits in the front, also with a waterproof connection, and that cable you can see goes under the fairing through the dashboard, and it comes out by the right pocket. Now, next to the pocket, I installed a dual USB port, and the port also doubles as a voltmeter, so I'm able to keep an eye on the voltage, especially when we're using heated gear, make sure I'm not drawing too much. Now, I also added a second dual USB towards the back. I drilled into the fairing, added one there for Nina so she can keep her phone charged. She also likes to bring her Kindle along so she can charge the Kindle and read her books while we're riding. Now, for the camera, I also have a GoPro remote, so I can just start recording all the cameras with a push of the button. And what I found was this clip that's made for a GoPro selfie stick, and it happened to fit the handlebars perfectly. All right, let's stop for a second. You're probably saying, okay, well, you have all these gadgets, but where do you install them? You gotta have something to mount them on, right? Good question. Well, that's where RAM mounts come in. I've been using RAM mounts for years on all my motorcycles. Never had any issue with them. RAM mounts are basically these mounting brackets, if you will, that allow you to mount anything onto this little ball. I use RAM mounts pretty much for everything. I use them to mount the GPS, I use them to mount the cameras, I use them to mount our cell phone holders. Everything that we have is held by RAM mounts. I even have cup holders and a bottle holder. They all work with the RAM mount system. Once you install the RAM mounts on the motorcycle, there's endless possibilities of how you can use it. All right, so the next thing I want to discuss is something that I think adds tremendous comfort on any long distance ride, and that's the highway pegs. The highway pegs are basically pegs that slide out when you need them, and they allow you to stretch your legs, kind of give your legs a break, because remember, you are in kind of that crouch position. Now, this bike does not come with highway pegs standard, nor do they manufacture one by Honda. And the next thing I wanted to go over was the grips. Now, on the grips, we have several things that we added there. One of the things we added are heated grips, even if the temps drop to 60s, 50s. If I can help it, I'll just turn on the heated grips and won't put on gloves. I just don't like, it's not an ideal solution because the top of your hands is still exposed, but I found that most conditions I can do with it. Another thing that helps with the grips is these little foam covers you see here. These are called grip puppies. Basically, they reduce the vibration, just gives you a better grip because it's foam and not that rubber. Now, if you also notice, along with the grip puppies, on the right throttle hand, I also have what's called the cramp buster. And it's just a simple plastic. It allows you to open your hand and just kind of rest it on. Because the same like we discussed for the legs, where your legs are in that bent position the whole time, it's nice to stretch it out with the highway pegs. This basically does the same for your hands. Nice thing is you can just rest your palm on the throttle and keep the same speed going. You don't have to apply a lot of pressure. So that helps out a lot on long rides, helps out with the cramping. Now, along with the cramp buster, again, this is something to give your hand a relief, especially your throttle hand, which is always squeezing and your wrist is always twisted to keep the throttle going, is something called a Throttle Meister. Throttle Meister is basically a throttle lock. It comes in place of the bar end that comes on the motorcycle. You pull that out, you put this instead of it, and the way it works is once you twist it towards you, it creates tension on the throttle and it keeps it locked in place. So once you're at that highway speed, 70, 75 miles an hour, you can just lock it, release your hand, and you don't have to apply any pressure to maintain that speed. Now, another important modification we made is something called the Healy bars. Now, what the Healy bars do is they allow you to raise the handlebars up to a certain height so it's level with your shoulders, and it allows you to bring them either forward or back, and the one we have also allows you to move the actual grip inwards and outwards, so it's completely customizable. I think this is the single most important upgrade we've made to the motorcycle. It's probably the most expensive also, but it's worth every penny. That really takes all the pressure off of your shoulders, your arms, your back, and just allows you to ride in a very comfortable position. Okay, so we've covered the upper body comfort. Now let's talk about something else, our butts. So if you're going to take on long distance rides, you better have a comfortable seat. Luckily, when we purchased our bike, it already had this seat on. This is a Saddlemen seat. We found it to be plenty comfortable. We were very happy with the seat. We've done the SS1000. We've spent over 20 hours in the saddle, covered over 1,000 miles. And I'm not going to say it didn't hurt a little, but it wasn't as bad as other motorcycles that we've done it on. And along with the seat, I also added on the back of the top case, there's a Givi backrest for Nina. And what that does is it allows her to sit up straight, rest her back there, so she's not constantly using her muscles to keep her body upright. And I think that's also a game changer for her on the long distance rides. So if you're riding with a passenger, get a backrest. Alright, so we discussed comfort. Now I want to talk about some other essential things you might need on a long distance trip. Now when you're covering long distances, you might find yourself in areas where you're in the middle of nowhere, there's no gas stations, or gas stations are far and few between. So fuel is the last thing you want to run out of. As a backup, I also keep extra fuel on the bike. I've added these tool tubes under the top case, and in each one I have an MSR fuel bottle. Each fuel bottle holds 30 ounces, so between the two of them I have 60 ounces. It's just shy of a half a gallon, so I figure half a gallon should get me at least 20 miles. That should be enough to get to the nearest gas station if the need should arise. Now you can use these tool tubes for more than just fuel. You can also carry water, you can carry tools, you can carry documents, whatever you might need depending on the trip that you're on. But I primarily carry fuel in them, especially on longer trips. Now for our heated gear, I added a powerlet adapter which gives us two connectors, one for mine, one for Vani's, and that goes straight to the battery. I also added Goldwing tip over bars with a custom plate. Now for the trunk, I wanted to have power inside, so what I did is I bought this connector which is really made for tank bags, and I fitted it on the bottom. Now I had to cut into the mounting plate in order to run the cable through, and the cable basically connects right down to the bottom of the trunk. It's a waterproof connection, so I don't have to worry about it, and as soon as it locks in, it gets power. Now all these gadgets, all these electrical that you see, everything basically goes through the bike to the back of it, and it gets connected into a fuse box which is connected to the switch. So once I turn off the switch, everything shuts off. Okay, so those are all the modifications we've made to our bike. Hopefully you got something useful out of it, something you think you might be able to add to your bike. If you got anything useful out of this video, please make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more videos like this. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when we put up new videos. Oh, that's it. I'm Mike, and we'll see you on the road.